Hey, what's going on today, guys? This is Jared from Hike Solo Outdoors, and today we are hiking the Appalachian Trail up to the beauty spot. So there are multiple ways to get up to Beauty Spot, but the way we chose to go today is we're going to do a 5-mile hike from Indian Grave Gap on the Appalachian Trail up to Beauty Spot and back. The total out and back trail is about 5 miles, and we do about 1,500 feet of elevation gain. I would say it's a moderately difficult trail. It's something that any experienced hiker could easily do, as well as some intermediate hikers would also have no trouble with this. It's a really beautiful hike, especially right now, because fall is in full swing. The colors are out, so if you guys have some time to come out here and do this hike, I would definitely recommend it. One thing you should note is that the parking area at Indian Grave Gap is extremely small, and on top of that, people don't really have a uniform way of parking there. Sometimes people pull into the spots, sometimes they park parallel, so it's a little bit difficult to know exactly how many cars will fit there, but I'd say only about 4 or maybe 5 maximum will fit in that area. You can also pull off on the opposite side of the road. Maybe 2 cars can fit there, but the parking is very limited here, so just be aware of that if you're coming out. So I would suggest coming out on a weekday or very early if you're coming out on a weekend. You really couldn't ask for better weather out here today. It's in the low 70s with a light breeze, and there is barely a cloud in the sky. The skies are blue, the sun is shining, and I'm happy. About 1.5 miles into your hike, you'll cross Beauty Spot Gap Road, which is another way to get up to Beauty Spot. You actually can drive right up to Beauty Spot in your car, although I would advise having a 4x4 as the road can get a little bit rough. I, however, like hiking, so we decided to do the 5-mile hike today. Just over 1.5 miles into the trail, you'll approach this rock that's prominently sticking out into the trail. If you look to your right, over the rock and over a unique tree that's sticking out, you can get an amazing view of the Nolichucky watershed. And if you look close enough, you can actually see the Nolichucky River itself all the way down in the gorge. So it might be easier to look if you climb up on top of the rock. Just make sure to be careful. So we're about 2 miles into the hike, and the last half mile was pretty steep, so I figured I'd take a break and talk to you a little bit about Unaka Mountain as well as the mountain range it's a part of. So Unaka Mountain is a mountain that is near Erwin, Tennessee. It's in the northeast corner of Tennessee, and it has other features outside of Beauty Spot. It has Red Fork Falls on it, as well as Rock Creek Falls. So these are some places that maybe you've visited, but they're pretty popular in the northeast Tennessee area. So Unaka Mountain is actually a part of the Unaka Range, which is a sub-range of the Appalachian Mountains that stretches from about the Nolichucky River up until the Watauga River. And it's bordered on the north by the Iron Mountains and on the south by the Bald Mountains. Now, the word Unaka is actually derived from a Cherokee word, which is Unega, and Unega actually means white. And the reason the Cherokee called this area Unega is because of all the chestnut trees that used to grow here. So chestnut trees, when they bloom, they have these long white blossoms. And it's actually thought that around this area on Unaka Mountain, about 1 in 4 hardwood trees were chestnut trees, were American chestnut trees before the tragic chestnut blight that happened in the early 1900s. So there were these massive chestnut trees all over this area that were growing up to 100 feet tall and sometimes 15 feet in diameter. So these were just massive, massive trees. Unfortunately, around 1904, a East Asian chestnut species was introduced to the United States, and along with it came a pest that basically infected the American chestnut trees and basically has almost wiped them completely out. There are still a few surviving American chestnut trees, but unfortunately they are no longer what they were up until the early 1900s. They were actually a very, very disease-resistant tree, as well as they didn't warp, they didn't shrink. So they were a very popular tree when it came to building cabins, when it came to building barns. So the early colonists, as well as people all the way up until the 1900s, really used the American chestnut tree very prominently in their every day-to-day life. So whenever it started to get wiped out, it was a huge social and economic hit to the eastern United States. But going back to the Unaka Range, it actually has some popular mountains that I'm sure you've heard of. One of the most popular ones is Roan Mountain. Roan Mountain is in the Unaka Range, so it has popular peaks like Roan High Bluff, Roan High Knob, Jane Bald, Round Bald, Grassy Ridge Bald, as well as Little Yellow Mountain, Big Yellow Mountain, Hump Mountain. These are all just examples of a few popular mountains that are in the Unaka Range. But now that you know a little bit about where we're hiking, we're going to head to our destination, on to Beauty Spot. So we're standing about 4,400 feet above sea level at the appropriately named Beauty Spot. It is gorgeous up here, guys. you can see not quite 360-degree views, but almost. If you stand at the very highest point and look around, there are views on almost every single side of you. It is amazing up here. It is unfortunately a little bit hazy today. There's a lot of isoprene being given off by the trees. And if you don't know what isoprene is, it's basically a protective chemical that the plants in the Appalachian Mountains excrete. It usually comes out more on hot days, and it is a little bit hot today, but it gives off a little bit of a blue smoke color, like a blue haze color. And it's actually the reason that the Cherokee originally called this area Land of the Blue Smoke, which is where the name Great Smoky Mountains as well as Blue Ridge Mountains originate from. But I'm so happy that we made it up here to the top, guys. We're gonna check out some of the awesome views. So we're finished up here at Beauty Spot, and we're gonna head back down to the parking area, guys. See you there. Alright guys, we are almost back to the car. I hope you enjoyed this beautiful fall hike to Beauty Spot. If you did enjoy this hike and you want to see more hikes just like it, as well as gear reviews, make sure you hit that like button and also subscribe to my channel, guys. It helps me out a great deal. So we're going to go ahead and sign off now, but as always, make sure to stay hiking and stay safe. See ya!